Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Bleach Chapter 501 review. Now, this chapter of Bleach, honest to God, and let me just say this because I'm not a fan. I am not a fan of Tite Kubo's artwork. I'm not, alright? In my opinion, Kubo, especially the backgrounds, he leaves a lot, like, left open, you know? Like, usually, like, they're all just white panels all bleached out. Literally, bleached out. Or they're all black panels. But when it comes to this chapter of Bleach, the imagery that we see when it comes to Kuchiki Byakuya, very good. In my personal opinion, very good. Especially that one scene where we see him being covered in bugs. And, like, we can see one of the bugs go in his mouth. And it sends home the message. It really does send home the message that right now, Kuchiki Byakuya is afraid. He is afraid of the Stern Ritter. He is afraid of Ass Knot. He is afraid of losing Rukia. And that, again, one of the main things about this chapter, in my opinion, was imagery. We see Rukia. There's one page where we see Rukia. She's lively and she's vibrant. And then the next panel, bam, she is dead. She has like a hole in her skull. She has like an eye. She looks like a decomposed. We see an eye like coming out of her socket, and it looks disgusting and nasty. And we can see that Kuchiki Byakuya is truly afraid. He is truly afraid of what's going on right now. He is truly afraid of the situation at hand, and he is afraid of losing Rukia. Because if you remember, during the Soul Society arc, Kuchiki Byakuya was very protective of Rukia. In fact, that's the reason why Rukia was never that's the reason why she was never a seated officer. Because Kuchiki Byakuya didn't want to put her in danger. He feared losing her. That is his biggest fear, losing Rukia. And Ass Knot is manipulating him by using his arrows and inducing this fear. And Byakuya is right now he's losing pretty bad. So that being said, this chapter of Bleach, a very good chapter. Even though I'm not a fan of the imagery, a very good chapter of Bleach. Well, I'm not normally a fan of the imagery in Bleach, but in this particular chapter, it's very good. Because it sends home the message. It really does. Now, this chapter starts off with Ichigo, and right now Ichigo is still trapped inside the jail that Kyuuge made. Even in death, Kyuuge still doing his thing. Yeah, that's right. Ichigo performs the Getsuga Tencho. This does not break the jail, and right now Ichigo's in panic mode. He's trying to get out, and what happens is that his cell phone rings, and we see the cell phone screen. Apparently, he's connected to Urahara. Not the 12th squad, but Urahara. So maybe Urahara is hearing Ichigo right now. We're not too sure, because Urahara did not reply to Ichigo when he yelled at the phone. So we're not too sure. But we'll find out later on. And then we switch over to Byakuya. And right now Byakuya is in combat with Ass Knot. Renji wants to take over. Byakuya says no. And what happens here is that it kind of started off with Byakuya getting cut. And then what happens is that all of a sudden he starts feeling this emotion. He starts feeling this sensation. And he assumes that he gets poisoned. But apparently Ass Knot claims that he's feeling fear. Right now he is feeling fear for the situation. And right now Byakuya is fearing Ass Knot. That's what Ass Knot claims. And if you notice, throughout this entire chapter, the term fear was used by Ass Knot a lot. And I believe that Ass Knot got the letter F from Buckbeard, so I'm assuming that the F means fear. I believe that Ass Knot's special skill is to somehow manipulate fear in his opponents, and thus they either lose control of themselves or they cannot, fight properly because of this fear. That's what I'm assuming. Now, what happens here is that he claims that he says right here that normally Shinigami, upon receiving attacks from my arrows, would scream out and go insane from all the fear. They would be unable to bear it, their hearts would burn up and explode, and they would suffocate. those hit by my arrow fear everything. So clearly his arrows have the ability to manipulate one's fear in some way, shape, and form. And what happens is that Byakuya does not believe this. Because what happens is that Asnot is kind of egging him on. He's saying how you can't block out fear. Even though someone like you is used to blocking out fear, you can't block it out. And what happens is that Byakuya, in his mind, he's thinking, well, I don't block fear, you know. I kind of like overcome it through fighting. And what happens is that there's a, and then this is where the scene comes in of Rukia. Rukia, like he's fighting Asnot right now. He swings at Asnot. Asnot has the blue, which blocks it. And what happens is that he sees a visual image of Rukia. And Rukia goes from being alive to being decaying and dead. And then Byakuya is all of a sudden really, like, all of a sudden, like, we see him and he's afraid. And then another scene comes in where we see Byakuya. He has a hole punched in through him by Asnot. And these are clearly all mental images that he's suffering right now. And I'm assuming that when Byakuya got cut by the arrow that Asnot used, then something seeped into him, and this something is right now affecting him mentally. So all these images that he's suffering right now are all mental images or mental illusions, and they are preventing him from fighting properly. That's what I'm assuming. And at this point in time, Asnot, he goes into commentary talking about fear, how true fear is reasonless and limitless, and so on and so forth. And then there is another image of Byakuya, and he's covered in bugs. And then Asnot says, we cannot escape our instincts, because instincts themselves are fear. And then all of a sudden, we see him covered in bugs, and one of the bugs go in Byakuya's mouth. Byakuya actually freaks out. He actually freaks out, and then he gets flustered. He swings randomly at Asnot. And then right here, we see Asnot grab the same pendant or the same medallion that he used in order to capture the essence of Byakuya's Bankai. And then all of a sudden, we see in the last panel of the chapter that Asnot is surrounded with what appears to be Senbon Sakura. And then Byakuya falls to the ground covered in blood. And that right there is the end of the chapter. Now, I'm going to assume that Byakuya is not dead, alright? Or he's not knocked out. Because Byakuya has taken a lot of damage beforehand, and he has survived. So Byakuya right now is not out of the picture. But it does appear that Renji may take over for Byakuya. I don't know why, because Renji is weaker than Byakuya. But at this point in time, Byakuya, he is having mental illusions. He is afraid. He is distracted from the common situation, and right now he's injured. So Renji may take over, and we may see Renji versus Asnot, while Byakuya recovers somewhere else. Who knows? But as of right now, the situation is looking very dire for Kushiki Byakuya. I'm not too sure where this goes, but overall, this was a good chapter of Bleach. It really was a good chapter of Bleach. The visuals, spot on. So that being said, I'll see you guys later. This is the King of Lightning. Rate, comment, subscribe. Peace. Have a nice day.